We start out our virtual tour of Tsawwassen, BC, updated for 2016, driving along 16th Avenue in Beach Grove. And I'm going to try and retrace the drive as best as I can remember doing it when I shot the original video in 1984. It's been a long time since I've even looked at that video, but I think you'll see that there's been a lot of changes going on. That video kind of grew legs on its own on Facebook in the Tsawwassen Old Photos group, and I've had a few requests from people to shoot an updated version. So right now we're just going along 16th Avenue here, and I'm gonna, when I get to 56th Street, I'm going to turn right and I'm gonna go up 56th Street, just like I did in the original video. And we'll go along Highway 17 up 52nd Street, just like before. But of course now we've got a new mall here that's just about completed. So we'll be able to see that as well. Now originally I agreed to reshoot the video because, as being a lifelong Tsawwassen resident, I was born here, I've lived here all my life. Who better to document for history the changes that have taken place since 1984 when I did the original one. And there are been a lot of changes. So here we're coming up on 16th Avenue at 56th Street, this is actually where the original video started here. So here we're at 56th Street and 16th Avenue, going around the corner here. I'm going to keep the camera pointed straight out the window this time. As you can see on the left, there's been a lot of developments going on here. We have a new office tower here on the left, and where the Pillars Inn used to be on the right is now, of course, all condos. I apologize for that big truck in front of me that got there. I'm going to pass him here in a second, but I just wanted to show what's going on here. Now, of course, back in 1984 on the left, that was all farmland. And there was the old, I think it was Spetafor potato storage facility was there. This is now, of course, all Century Holdings commercial space now. We have a new private school on the right and a big church there on the right. The intersection here on Highway 17 and 56th Street has recently been completely redone. So now we've got multiple lanes, multiple left turn and right turn lanes. So if we look over to the right, there's the location of the new Tsawwassen Mills Mega Mall, which is now getting close to being finished. It's going to be opened. We're right now in the last week of August, and the mall is going to open on October 6th. So they're putting the finishing touches on this monster. We'll take a drive by there a little later. I'm going to hang a left here and go up 52nd Street. Exactly the way I did in the previous video. And for the last couple of years, there's been a lot of construction going on here, and today is no exception to the rule. 52nd Street is being widened in anticipation of all the extra traffic that's going to be heading down 52nd Street to the new mall. On the left is a subdivision that went in the late 80s. The last video, that was all just brush. We have a subdivision over there on the left. We also have the Tsawwassen Springs subdivision with the golf course on the right. And this subdivision is still under construction, and it will be for the next probably another 3 or so years before they complete it. They've got 2 of the 4 condos built, and about half of the houses are now done. As you can see now, we have a traffic light here where there never was prior. Imperial Hill has also been reworked to take the grade down, so they no longer have to close this road in the winter. It used to close every winter because, of course, the hill was a lot steeper than it is now, but it also had a curve in the middle of the road. A lot of people would end up rolling their car off the side of the cliff there. So they redid the road a few years back and have reduced the grade slightly. And of course up here we have a stop sign to nowhere. I'm going to make a turn up Upland Drive here as opposed to going all the way to 12th Avenue, because I want to go back down to 16th Avenue so I can drive up 16th Avenue through the main drag to catch all of the stores. So this is Upland Drive. Upland Drive has remained relatively the same as it was in the last video. There's been not a lot of development, a lot of changes taking place here on this street anyway, but we drive through Beech Grove, you'll see a lot of the old houses are gone, and a lot of new houses have been built. Tsawwassen right now is in a big construction phase. A lot of the old houses are coming down. Just in my neighborhood alone, there's 3 or 4 houses right now that have just come down in the last couple weeks, and there's some more that are fenced up, so they're going to be coming down soon. So now we're back on 16th Avenue heading towards 56th Street, and I'm going to hang a right turn on 56th Street and head up the main drag. I'll go up 56th Street up through Forest by the Bay, which was another one of the neighborhoods that I went through at the time, and then we'll do the terrace as well, and try to drive a fair number of the streets in Upper Tsawwassen and try to give a pretty good representation of how the town looks today in 2016. So here we are back on 56th Street. Shell station on the right. We have the 7-Eleven and the Dairy Queen. And here is a new building that's gone up. This is where the old Esso station used to be. The Husky station next door to it, which was featured in the last video, is gone. We've got condos on the left and the right, which weren't there in 1984-85. And of course we have a lot more traffic lights now than we did back in 1985. We had 2 back then. We had one at 16th Avenue and one at 12th Avenue. And if you go back a few years prior to that, we had none. We had a 4-way stop at 12th Avenue. When I was growing up, actually when I was growing up as a kid, I remember that there wasn't even a 4-way stop there. It was a big deal when this intersection that we're just approaching right now, which is 12th and 56, it was a big deal when they actually put a 4-way stop here and had the red flashing light right over the middle of the intersection. Of course, where the Chevron station is now, that was the Chevron station when I was growing up. The Petro-Canada on the left, that used to be the Gulf station, and prior to that it was actually the BA gas station. On the right there's the Tim Hortons now. That used to be, going back far enough, that actually used to be where the Canada Customs building was, and there's been some on the archive photos that's been pointed out a few times that used to be Canada Customs was there. course, on the left, that is where the Boundary Bay Elementary School, the school that I went to when I was in elementary school, right on the left side of the shot there. And that's all now been replaced with townhouses and condos. Passing 8A Avenue. We'll hang a left here on 6th and take a drive through, or forest by the bay, I should say, which was one of the neighborhoods that I drove through when I made the original video. I think you'll see that not much has changed in this neighborhood. This, at the time, was a relatively new neighborhood. Most of these houses were built back in the early 80s, and most of them have remained much as they were back in 1983, 84, when this subdivision was first put in. I think it was 82, 83, somewhere in there is when this one went in. But I remember when I was growing up, this was one of the areas that, as a teenager, we used to go cruise around in our cars, just stuff that teenagers do. And this was one of the neighborhoods that you kind of got chased away from. It was the upper class neighborhood at the time, and people kind of looked down their nose at you if you didn't live here. If you didn't live here, they didn't want you driving through the neighborhood. Still a very nice area of Tsawwassen with lots of big houses. Boss's old house is on the market again. One of those houses that I just passed was the guy that I worked for 20 years. And he sold a few years ago, and now it looks like who's living there now is got it on the market again. So that's the circle drive around Goldenrod Boulevard. We'll take a drive around the terrace in a minute here, which is the next subdivision up the hill. That's also a relatively new one that was built. I think that one also went in the early 80s. So that one was there when I did the last video. I'm going to do the drive around Tsawwassen, and then I'll go back down 52nd Street a second time, and we'll take a drive around Tsawwassen Springs, and we'll also take a drive around Tsawwassen Shores, which is down on the Tsawwassen First Nations Reserve. There's a big housing development that's currently under construction in that neck of the woods. So you can really see how the Tsawwassen First Nation has really changed over the last few years, and it doesn't look like your typical reserve. here we are hanging a left onto Timber Valley Road. You see, when this subdivision was built, I think they had planned to continue, and they got stopped here. The road just ends. So at one point, I think they had originally planned to continue pushing further down to the east, but the development stopped and it never continued. We go up Park Grove Avenue now. We have a little park here on the right, hence the name Park Grove. This was Sherwood Boulevard, and Sherwood Boulevard is behind the houses on the left side is the United States. That's Point Roberts. So if I were to turn left at this intersection, I would end up going to the States. The Canada-US border is right there. So we're gonna go right here, and then I'm gonna turn left onto First Avenue, and we'll take a drive down First towards English Bluff Road. Dead ahead there on the right is Diefenbaker Park. That used to be a gravel pit. I'll hang a left here. We'll go over to Wallace Avenue. So Wallace Avenue is the southmost street in Tsawwassen. It's like the equivalent of Zero Avenue. Directly behind these houses on the left side of your screen is the United States. The international border literally is right behind their backyard. And there's a ditch there and fences, and if you go across that line, you'll get surrounded by US border guards. You'll have a lot of questions to answer. There's a few houses along here that are being rebuilt recently. Some new construction going up in this neck of the woods. And they've actually extended Wallace Avenue, because Wallace used to end, and now they've built a new street basically in sections of it, like what's just coming up ahead here. Or I shouldn't say they built a new street, but they put the street through. It ended, and then there was like an empty lot, and then there was another continuation of it. There's another dead end up ahead here, but there was a couple of areas of it that where you had to go around the block. And here's one here, another example where it ends at Deerfield. It continues on the other side. Back up to First Avenue. We're going to head up to English Bluff. That's a new street that wasn't there in 1984. They put a little street there, the little cul-de-sac. Put some new houses in there. Now we're on to English Bluff Road, where some of the pricier houses in Tsawwassen are located. Aside from Tsawwassen Beach Road, which goes down the hill. Dead ahead of me there, beyond that stop sign or that barricade, that's the United States. You can see the road down there on the American side. Houses been built along here in the last year or two. So we'll continue back along English Bluff Road. turn into the village. We're going to hang a left here and go around Pacific Drive. There's been a lot of changes on Pacific Drive over the last few years. A lot of the old houses have come out. Still some old houses here, but there's been a lot of new construction. Right on the bluff here, this is a prime area for development on the multi-million-dollar homes that are out here. And there are a few of them. Of course, it all depends on what side of Pacific Drive you live on, right? There's the right side and there's the other side. In this case, the right side is on the left. They're quite often up here shooting movies in some of these houses. That house there has been under construction for about 4 years. Okay, now we're entering Tsawwassen. This was probably one of the first residential subdivisions that was built on the leasehold properties of the Tsawwassen First Nation. So this section here in Tsawwassen, you don't own this property. You lease it on a 99-year lease from the band, which is the same as Tsawwassen Shores, which we'll be going through that in a bit, showing that new area. And it's still under construction. It's, I think, only they're in the second phase now of it, so they'll be building down there for several more years. But this was the first of them. Oh, look at that car, cool. It's a Tata, I think, was it? No, what is it? Anyway, back to 48th Street, which is also known as English Bluff. We'll take a drive around. A, I guess the street is. Street. Dead ahead is another big, a big monster that just went up in the last couple of years. Watch that one go up. Area where you get some nice good sized lots in this part of Tsawwassen. On to Gale Drive. House on the left has just recently come down the corner there. So there'll be something big, I'm sure, going in there. Maybe even be subdivided into 2 lots, which is very common here right now. As a lot of these big lots, people are tearing down the houses that are on them and they're subdividing it and putting 2 small houses in, and then selling them and making a big profit. We're now at 8A. Tsawwassen Park on the right. South Delta Secondary. On the left, Tsawwassen Park on the right, where the old 8A pool used to be, which of course is now just a soccer field. The outdoor pool is long gone. Tsawwassen United Church on the right, over to the left. That's where the old junior high school used to be, and as you can see, it's now all houses right here on the corner of 53rd and 6th Avenue. We're going to head down 6th Avenue now, back down to 56th Street. And then we'll take a drive around Beach Grove. And then I think Boundary Bay, or Centennial, and then we'll head back and take a look at Tsawwassen Springs, Tsawwassen Shores, and loop around the new mall where we can go, because a lot of the streets aren't finished there yet, but we can drive around the perimeter. And I think that'll give you guys a good look at what has progressed here over the last 30 odd years. building on the left you see here, it's a brand new building. Ground floor condos. One just listed, the last one, 1.538 million on the ground floor, corner suite. Now, had I been thinking when that building went up for pre-sale, they were asking 438,000 for the less expensive, and the more expensive suites were upwards of 700,000 when it went up for pre-sale. That was before the building was completed. Well, now we see what the market will pay. Let's be complete with all the speed bumps now. On the left is the Beach Grove Golf Course. Of course, anybody that lived here knows that. As you'll notice here, the house on the corner of Farrell and Farrell Crescent and Avenue, is being taken down, and 2 houses will go up in place of this one. The house across the street here on the left has just come down. It's another one that's going to be replaced. And there's another house up here I've noticed they've just put a power pole in. The one with the Chevy in front of it here. It looks like that one's going to be coming down. They've just put a power pole there for construction. So that's 3 houses within a block that are coming down pretty quick down here in the Grove. Back onto 16th Avenue. This area right now is the hottest area for tearing down houses, all the old ones. There's a lot of cottages down here, and they all seem to be coming down. They're dropping like flies, as they say. Looks like the house on the left there is going to be coming down. Bin out front, trees all Beach Grove Park, right ahead of us there, used to be known as Grower Park. They changed the name a few years ago. Old Drunken Dive, it's a street I grew up on. Beach Grove Road. This is another street that is quite pricey because the houses on the left are right on the beach. Beachfront property is always goes for a pretty penny. Of course, they had to put a bunch of speed bumps in here because apparently people drive too fast down here. It's all those people from Boundary Bay trying to bypass all of the traffic signals on 56th Street, so they come rocketing along Beach Grove Road in the morning to get out of town, and they put speed bumps in to slow them down a bit. There's the old Beach Grove store. It's now the Beach Grove Cafe. And now we'll hang a left here and head down towards Boundary Bay. Oops. Come on. Get off your little scooters, little electric bikes. Kids riding their little e-bikes. Of course, now the entrance to Boundary Bay Regional Park is here. No longer can you access it from Centennial Parkway. I guess money talks. The people that live along that very expensive beachfront property got tired of all the traffic going past their front door to get to the park, so they put a road in to access the park and cut off all the residential traffic, people driving through the residential areas. This is where the Southlands is going to be, the Southlands development is going in down here. All this area to the right over here, this is where the Southlands, at least part of it's going to be. About 950 new homes are going to be built down here over the next 10 years probably. Of course, it was originally going to be like 3,500, but there's been so much opposition out here. It has been amazing the amount of people that just did not want any development. Finally, they got through a 950 home proposal by giving like 80% of the land back to the municipality. nice pads in here. This is where the elite live. Down here on Boundary Bay Road, Centennial Parkway. And there's some pretty fancy houses that have recently gone up here. These used to all just be little beach houses, but beach houses no more. They're all mansions now. Even this one's coming down. There's the redevelopment proposal. So this is all new. This wasn't here in 85. We used to, back in the early 80s, this used to be all, this was all empty fields. We used to ride our dirt bikes out here. We used to ride our dirt bikes out the dike and out to these empty fields. As you can see, some of the old character homes are still here, the old little beach houses, but the majority of them have been taken down and replaced, and they continue to do so. Probably remember the old Boundary Bay store that used to be right there on the corner. And then it was the restaurant, the Bay Area Gourmet. it was a lawyer's office at one point too. Of course, in 1984, none of these houses were here. This was all open field. These were all built after. There was houses on the left side, but there was nothing on the right side of the road here. These were all built after. In 1993, Montera went in. Montera is the development that's on the right, which is a gated community along here with a moat around it. And of course, dead ahead from where the Southlands are also going to be in this area here. It'll be all the Southlands. So the two houses here on the corner, they've come down. One in the middle remains. There's the two houses here on the corner on the left here. That was one house there before. They've now come down as well. A few of the old homes are still here, but majority of them have been replaced. Used to be a couple little white houses here on the left side of the street that I'm going past now. They're now all big new houses. This house here was still the same. It was there the last time that I did the video. But the one on the right here has been replaced. These ones here have all been replaced. There's a little house that had a little red roof on it has come down recently, and it is now in the process of a new house going up in place of it. Right there, it's under construction. Lots of changes here. A little house in here, and that's now a big house. There's been another house here, and that's now a duplex over here. House over across the street here just came down. A lot is cleared. There's just been so much development in this area. It's just unbelievable the number of houses that have come down. 3 new houses right here on the left. Everything's coming down here. And I would know because one of the houses that we just drove by in the last little section of houses there is one I grew up in, and they got one of the other ones is one that I live in. And they're one of the newer ones that was built in the last dozen years. So back onto 12th Avenue, we're going to head up 12th Avenue now and go to 52nd, go down 52nd again. I'll go take a drive through Tsawwassen Springs, and then we'll go down to the freeway. I'm going to drive over to Tsawwassen Shores, and we'll take a look at that and all the new streets that are been put in over there in anticipation of the new mall. And we'll take a look at the progress there. So of course on the left is now, we don't have a Safeway here anymore. Safeway closed up. It's now a Save On Foods. To the right is the Rose and Crown Pub and Thrifty's Foods. That's their parking lot there. This is a new building here on the left where Harris Nursery used to be. It's now a 50, I think it's a 56 unit condo called the Brio. Post office is still in the same place. Here's the old Dr. Hanby and Dr. Lee's old dental office is here on the corner of 53A. It's still called the Family Health Center, even though a couple of the doctors that were in there have since retired and closed up their practice. That just happened this year. So hanging right on 52nd, we'll go down the hill. Take a drive through Tsawwassen Springs, and I'll take a drive through Imperial Village, which is across the street. That was the other subdivision that wasn't there in 1984. So now we enter Tsawwassen Springs. The commercial buildings are on the right, restaurants and so forth, pro shops on the right. Driving range on the left. This is the golf course, of course, and residential areas. So over to the right is the condos. There's 2 of them completed. The third one is, I think, under construction now, and of course there's all the residential areas on the left. So we'll take a drive down here, and I'll just go through a few of the residential streets so that you can see how ridiculous these little short driveways are. I mean, we may even spot some dented dented doors because the driveways are so small that people back their vehicles in and hit their garage door trying to get the front wheels off the street. Narrow little streets, but as you can see, the driveways are really quite short. And there's no backyards. Literally, you've got nice houses, but as you can see, you got no place, you got no parking. You got a little tiny car in the front. Try to park a big van there or a big truck, and you're in trouble because it's sticking out on the street. But if you want to be able to walk out your back door and walk onto the golf green, then pay her $2.5 million and welcome home. Because some of these houses are pretty pricey. Okay, ahead of us is the condo developments, and say phase 1 and 2. 3 is just starting. I see the construction crane there, so they'll be starting on phase 3. And they're already selling them. Coffee shop down here. The street's called Spyglass Way. This is another area that before it was developed, we used to come and ride our dirt bikes out here. There's lots of piles of gravel and lots of piles of dirt that we can jump over and have a great time down here. And they spoiled our fun by building a bunch of houses. Winds its way onto Golf Club Drive, which does the big circle back. But there is another exit, which we're going to take. Back to 52nd Street again. We'll go straight here. So here's the new mall on the left side of the road. Or part of the new mall, I should say. They're still building it. As you can see, there's another building that's going up here. I doubt that this one will be finished in time for the opening of the main mall. I think this mall is opening up later. This is part of Tsawwassen Commons, and it's not opening up at the same time as the others. This part of 53 or 52nd Street, this one hasn't changed much, but 28th Avenue, which we'll be going to next, definitely has changed. So now on 28th Avenue, and this is where they've made some changes. They've actually, 28th Avenue comes to an end. You have to turn left. They've closed it. We now have a new road here. Now I gather what this is going to happen. This is going to be access for the mills. So to the left here, the road's closed, but that's going to be an entrance to the mills and Commons shopping center. And then this road here winds its way back along and connects up where the other portion of the road that they cut off ends. We're going to get to a new traffic light that's gone in here. As you can see on the right, they're actually putting a sewage treatment plant in here for the reserve, because they're not connected to the municipal system. So they've got to treat their own wastewater. That's what that is. And over to the right, something is developing over here. They're preloading, so they're going to be doing something else over here. I'm thinking it'll be another phase of Tsawwassen Mills, or not Tsawwassen Mills, Tsawwassen Shores. It's going to be another phase of it over here. We've now got a traffic light here. To the right is 41B, which now has an overpass over Deltaport Way. Straight ahead would take me to Deltaport and Roberts Bank. And if I turn left here, this takes me onto Tsawwassen Drive for the Tsawwassen First Nations Reserve. So let's take a drive down the new street, which is really only new to this point because it's going to connect into the old street here. But here we'll see lots of changes because this is where all the shores, the Tsawwassen Shores properties are being built. So construction is just going crazy in this area right now. And this is all leasehold. You know, you don't own any of this property. This is all owned by the Tsawwassen First Nation band. So people that are buying it here aren't buying a house to own it. They're basically renting it. And but they do have some nice houses down here. Just up ahead here is the entrance to Tsawwassen Shores. It's going to be changing. They're going to be putting a new road through that will connect to the mall, but it's not through yet. So this is the new phase 1 and phase 2 of Tsawwassen Shores, and as you'll see, got a bunch of new houses in here already. They're already moved in, and the next phase is going to be just past those fences in front of me, and it backs right onto the mall. So people that are going to be living down here will be literally, they'll be walking distance to one of the largest malls in North America. It's huge. It's like something like 1.6 million square feet when the whole thing is finished. It's one of them's 1.1 million square feet, and the other one is like 500,000 square feet. So that's a pretty good size. That's a pretty good size complex. We'll drive by it, you'll see it from the freeway. It looks a lot bigger when you're coming down the freeway than from 52nd Street, which we just drove by a minute ago. We'll get back onto Tsawwassen Drive, and I always like to see what the little radar thing here will show me going. Get over the speed bump and then hit it, because well, electric cars have pretty good pickup. we're back to Highway 17. To the right is the Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal. Straight ahead would be Tatsu Shores, and that guy just made an illegal U-turn. Straight ahead is Tatsu Shores. There's a gas station there. Never see anybody go in there, but there's somebody actually there today. I remember when that gas station first opened. The gas was a little bit cheaper than everywhere else because they didn't have to pay one of the taxes on it because it was on the reserve land. If I point the camera over a bit to the left here, you'll see Splashdown Park, probably for the last time because Splashdown Park is going to be closing at the end of the month. So there's our water park there, or what's left of it. It's still open, but again, it'll be closing at the end of the month. And well, here's the big mall. It'll be opening up pretty soon. Back at 52nd Street and Highway 17. As you can see, they've made the road a lot wider here than it used to be. It's now 6 lanes wide all the way down through 56th Street. Head up 56th Street one last time. And that will end our little drive around, our updated drive around Tsawwassen in 2016. If I've missed anything, drop me a comment if you'd like to see other streets covered, so forth. I tried to cover this as best I could. This is the same brand new building here on the right. Based on what I remember shooting on the other one, I haven't looked at the video in many years, so I guess if I were to sit down and watch the video, I could try and figure out what streets I were on at the time. But I think I've covered a good percentage of the ones that I covered the last time. last time I head down 12th Avenue as I head towards my home, which is down somewhere in this neighborhood. Hope you enjoyed this look back at Tsawwassen from 2016's perspective, and maybe we'll do another one. Bye for now.